A quick note, the Sandy K Inner Circle is finally open. This has been years in the making, my private women-only community. Live Q&As, exclusive episodes, real conversations you won't find anywhere else. $47 Canadian a month. Link is in the show notes. Now let's dive into this week's episode. Hi, everyone. It's me, Sandy Cruz. Welcome to Sandy K Nutrition, Health and Lifestyle Queen. For many years now, I've been a trusted voice for people in midlife and beyond who want a deeper, more honest conversation about wellness. One that includes the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the esoteric. Most episodes are solo now because I want to bring you thoughtful research, lived experience, and grounded insight without noise or bias. And when I do bring on a guest, it's because their work genuinely adds something meaningful to the conversation. Here, we explore the full spectrum of what it means to be well, how the body functions, how the mind heals, how the spirit expands, and how all of these layers shape life lived with clarity and joy. Thanks for being here. And if this show resonates with you, please follow, rate, review, and share it. It truly helps the message reach more people. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sandy K Nutrition, Health and Lifestyle Queen. This is a special episode, and it is why you should stop calling her a Karen, the silencing of women in the era of disclosure. So today I'm releasing a special episode because there's something that's happening culturally. It directly ties to my UNALOM episode that I released on Monday about women and, that spiral of that tattoo that we often see. That's just a beautiful spiral of life, really. And the massive episode I'm releasing on Monday, 2026 is the year of disclosure. And the fact is we just need to stop calling women Karens. That's it. We got to stop using that term altogether. Not because it's too sensitive, not because we can't handle the humor behind it, but because this term has become one of the most effective silencing mechanisms used against women, especially midlife women in this last decade. And if you listen to my episode on the UNALOM, you already know that women don't disappear because they're fragile. They disappear because they're overloaded and overconditioned to keep the peace. This isn't a big rant at all. I just want to give you some context around that, that silencing mechanism of calling a woman a Karen. And you see women using that, you see men using that, and often it's directed at midlife women. And I'm going to give you really the origin. And so the fact of the matter is that this word it's almost like now it's become something that it actually wasn't even about. It's become a method to silence women. That's what it's become. It's become a method to almost shame women into speaking their truth. And before I get to the rest of this podcast and what a Karen, where was the origins? I want to talk about a scenario, and it's a personal one. And I actually have always been like, oh, don't put a negative review out there. You don't want to hurt anybody. You don't want to, put something bad out there because something bad might come back to you. Like I always had these weird things like, that's not nice. It could hurt them. It could hurt their business. Seriously, this is the way I thought. And if you looked at all of my Google reviews, they were always positive in the past. I'm always like, unless you have something good to say, don't say it at all. And then I was like, okay, so I work with my husband and we are doing some work around some stuff relating to what we want to change with the businesses. And I worked with a company for over 3 months to get a quote for something. And then as soon as I asked for transparency, I actually called them out on integrity. I said, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem upfront. I need this in writing. I need this, blah, blah, blah. Guess what they did? They said, maybe we're not the right company for you when I asked them for that. So, what I did was I left a Google review and I actually contacted the association that they belong to because I wasted 3 months of my time and I was like, wait a second. So the second I say that I need more information to make a sound decision, you're going to say, oh, well, maybe we're not the company for you. No, you're not. And I'm actually going to call you out on that. And if you call me a Karen, that's what this episode is all about. So I'm going to give you some of the origins. In 2005, comedian Dane Cook jokes about the friend nobody likes named Karen. Not the same meaning, but the seed was planted. And in 2017 to 2019, on Reddit, there were memes about the entitled woman that started to circulate, and it's still niche. So viral nicknames came out like Barbecue Betty, Hermit Patty, Cornerstone Cornerstone Carolyn appeared. And these were mostly about white women calling the police unnecessarily. So these are the origins that I'm getting to. So then there was the explosion. And guess when it happened? It happened during the pandemic. This was in 2020. The term Karen goes mainstream after the Central Park birdwatching incident in May 2020. And this is when the media, Twitter, TikTok, they all turned Karen into a cultural weapon. So 2020 was literally called the year of Karen. The Guardian, Vox, New York Times all ran pieces on it. And here's the part that no one talks about. Basically, the pandemic made women the face of public frustration. Mask confrontations, boundary conflicts, stress, fear, uncertainty, and suddenly women who spoke up about anything risked being labeled a Karen. It became shorthand for you're too much, you're overreacting, you're difficult, be quiet, don't make a scene. It became a muzzle. And that's why we need to talk about it. So if you go and you actually, I'm not going to get into it here, but the actual Central Park birdwatching incident was pretty extreme. So there's always going to be extremes to every situation. There's always going to be that woman who just hates life. There's going to be a man who hates life. It doesn't matter actually. And they complain about everything. They are entitled. I'm not talking about extremes here. I'm talking about using the term she's a Karen every single time a woman says something doesn't seem right. And I'm going to talk about it because I think it's an important lesson for many people. So it's not just about entitlement and sure there's always going to be that. That's actually where it began. If you look back at the incident. Okay. And by the way, I always have my dog on a leash, just so you know. And I have changed my views on speaking my truth and really not just being the good, nice girl. So the Karen label has become really a silencing mechanism. The moment a woman sets a boundary, asks a question, challenges something, refuses to shrink to save someone else, refuses to abandon herself, she risks being called a Karen. In the modern version of this is basically the modern version of calm down, you're being dramatic, don't rock the boat. Everyone's heard that. Be nice. keep the peace. It's the boys' club operating system in a single word. And if you listen to my 2020, what you'll listen to it in the year of disclosure, you'll know exactly what I mean about the boys' club. So in my episode that I've already released on Monday on the UNALOM, it explains why women often disappear and why they rise. The UNALOM episode, I released it on Monday, May 25th. I break down the stages. The spiral, which is the overwhelm, the knots, that's like repeated survival patterns that they just become habit. And then the straight line, which is when clarity starts to return. And then the point with the woman who just rises above all of it and comes back to herself. And actually today I released this follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. Sandy K Nutrition everywhere on all my social media channels. I released a post just of all these pictures of me in the 90s. And I'm like, the 90s seemed so different. Like I didn't shrink for anybody. And, I was true to myself. And I think a lot of us were. So go follow me on all my social media channels. So the bottom line is when a woman starts to reach that straight line, it's kind of like the undone stage. She becomes someone that the world can no longer control. And that's when these labels, like she's a Karen, often will start because a woman who returns to herself is dangerous to systems that were built on her silence. And so the reason, listen, if you look back on that incident, the Central Park one, you could go, okay, yeah, she was a Karen and she was entitled. This is not what this podcast is about. This is about this loose term of everyone calling even other women calling women a Karen. Like we need to realize that that's what this name has become. And we need to kind of pull away from that. So the term Karen, the label, it punishes women for doing what men often do freely. Men who speak up are assertive, leaders, decisive, confident, but women who speak up are difficult, emotional, dramatic, Karens. This is not accidental. This is structural, and it fits into my 2026 year of disclosure that's coming out on Monday. This exposes this system. I explain that 2026 is the year where secrets surface, motives reveal themselves, relationships show their real foundation, institutions crack, illusions collapse, masks fail, anything lacking integrity becomes impossible to maintain. And that includes cultural systems that silence women. And I'm going to make this clear. This isn't this women's liberation podcast. That's not what this is about. It's about balance in life. It's about restoring who you are in your essence. It's about taking away all those secrets and those structures that hurt people. They hurt people. So that's what this is about. So the Karen label is part of that illusion based world that will collapse this year. It's already started. The illusion that women should be kept quiet, women should keep the peace, women should protect dysfunction, the illusion that women should not speak truth. And 2026 is the year that we kind of stop. And the fact is that, I personally will never abandon myself again. Not for peace, not for approval, not for anything or anyone. And that's the heart of all of this because I'm kind of done with that. And I know many of the women in my space are too. And I talked about this in the past. Menopause is a time where you either shrink more because you're aging, you're old, you should be hiding, you should be retiring, you should be kind of become a grandma and just, support everybody else like you did in your whole life once you got married, if you got married. So This is not to say you can't support others, but menopause is a time that if you really pay attention, all of those masks and all of that stuff that cause you to make yourself shrink more can go away if you notice it, if you pay attention to it, and if you allow yourself to become who you were. So I look back at these pictures in the 90s. Maybe you try that too. Maybe, I'm sure if you're listening, you're Gen X. But if you go back and you go, I was definitely not as wise as I am now, but damn, I was free. And I'm not saying, everyone has obligations. Everybody has, family, and there's nothing wrong with being a support system, but never to shrink yourself and never to lose the confidence in who you are in your true essence, which happens to a lot of women and men for that matter. As we age, aging is a part of that. Aging is a part of, go away, go into a home. You're a stupid old man. You're dumb. You don't know what you're talking about. You got dementia. All of that needs to go away because we need to head back to, if you look at certain cultures, aging is wisdom. Aging is amazing and fascinating. Look at the blue zones. It's amazing. We need to return to that, where we look upon our elders and go, wow, you have so much to share. Let's hear it. Versus shut up, be quiet, get into a home. You're a woman, you're a Karen. All that's done, my friends. So I want you to go back and listen to my episode that I released on Monday about the UNALOM, a map of how women often disappear and how they return. And I would love for you to see where you are in that. Are you in the knots? Are you in the spiral? Like, where are you? Because once you identify it, you can do the work to find out how you can gain more clarity. And then Monday, be sure you're following Sandy K Nutrition everywhere, 2026, the year of disclosure. This is the episode that explains why women are done being silenced and people who are aging and not just women. This isn't, like I said, this isn't just a woman's lib episode. That's not what this is about. So share this episode with a woman who has ever been called too much, too direct, too emotional, too loud, Karen, because she's not a Karen. She's a woman who finally stopped disappearing, as long as it's within balance. So, what I would like you to do is share this. It's a nice, short episode. And definitely follow me wherever you are listening or watching. That helps support my work. A lot of what I do is passion over profit. So, I want to thank you. And I thank you, all you ladies who join me in just helping make this world a better place. Have a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to share it with someone you know might benefit. And always remember, when you rate, review, subscribe, you help to support my content and help me to keep going and bringing these conversations to you each and every week. Join me next week for a new topic, new guest, new exciting conversations to help you live your best life.